What's up, geeks and gamers? Mike and I are back once again with another movie review, and today we're going to be talking about The Many Saints of Newark, a movie that just came out yesterday, last night, and we didn't get a chance to watch it until this morning, but we wanted to give you guys a review on it, so we're just going to go ahead and jump right into it. Michael, what are your thoughts about The Many Saints of Newark?
So, The Sopranos is widely considered one of the greatest TV shows of all time. I have a great respect for it. Unfortunately, I have a confession. I have not watched all of The Sopranos. I've seen a handful of episodes of The Sopranos. I've always been interested in the show. It's on my list of like must watches, but there's a lot of shows on my must watch list that I have not gotten to. So when I watched this, one of the things I was really surprised about for people that have watched The Sopranos, it is narrated by Chris before his character was no longer on The Sopranos show. I'm not going to say why he's not on The Sopranos show anymore, but there was a reason that his character was written off the show. But his character, he is the actor. I don't remember his name off the top of my head. He is narrating the movie, which I think is kind of interesting. And he does a lot of foreshadowing and telling you what's going to happen. So if you haven't seen the show, you're kind of like, why does this matter? If you have seen the show, you're like, wow. And that kind of sums up the whole movie. There's a lot of setup. There's a lot of Easter eggs. There's a lot of like threading the needle about what's going to happen in The Sopranos and why certain things happen in The Sopranos, why things happen the way that they do in The Sopranos. They set up Tony's mom. They even set up why Tony ends up in therapy and why he's even open to the idea of therapy. They deal with his uncles, his aunts. They deal with his dad. You know, they deal with his grandfather. Ray Liotta plays Tony's his great uncle in this movie. Like Ray Liotta kills it. He actually plays two characters in this movie. He plays the twin brothers, and he actually does a really good job of like playing the dad, the grandfather, and he also does a good job of playing the twin brother, and they actually feel like two different characters. I actually forgot that they were the same like actor in a way. I mean,
that was
Ray
impressive.
Liotta.
That was very impressive. Yeah.
So that all being said, if you are a fan of The Sopranos, I think you're really going to like this movie. If you have not watched The Sopranos, you are going to be very lost and wondering why any of these characters matter and why some of the things that they linger on, why they set up some of the things that they set up. And that's, I think, a little unfair. Some movies do a good job of bringing in and catching you up on what's happening. This movie does not. It expects you to have watched The Sopranos previously, and it doesn't even really tie up the ending of The Sopranos, because the ending of The Sopranos is still, you know, controversial to this day to a lot of people. The fade to black and not letting you know what happens. It does no dealing with what happens to Tony and his family. It only deals with what the setup to a lot of what goes on. I also got to give it to James Gandolfini's son, who plays a young Tony Soprano in this movie. He did a phenomenal job. I thought he was a very good actor. But also this movie, despite being a prequel, is not really about Tony. Tony is a minor player in the movie. He's a very young kid for most of the movie, and by the time he grows up, there's been a ton of movie, and then it deals with him a little bit, but it's not really about him. It's actually more about Chris's dad.
Dickie.
I don't remember
what's his name?
Yeah, Dickie.
Yeah, Dickie Moltisanti.
Yeah.
So he was basically kind of the main character in this. He's the
main character for sure in the movie. Like I said, it's you know. So I say that to just say it's not very. I don't think it's newcomer friendly, but it's not bad. Leslie Odom Jr. does a really great job in the movie. The Alice. Is that his name? Okay, I gotta make sure I got his name right. Alessandro Nivola as Dickie Moltisanti.
Yeah, he was great.
Really good.
He
does a great job.
Yeah.
He does an amazing job. The cast is solid, but it just felt very inaccessible, and I knew some of what was happening and still was missing a lot of what was being set up.
Yeah, I mean, so this is when I get to confess as well that I haven't seen the show either. I've seen 2 episodes and I had a hard time getting into the show, so I haven't watched since then. But when I first saw the trailer for Many Saints of Newark and I found out that it was a prequel, I was very interested in this movie, especially since with the trailers and the marketing, they really focused a lot on Tony and Dickie, and kind of it made it seem like it was kind of about their relationship, and it seemed like Tony was still kind of like the main character in a way as well. And so I was very interested in the movie because of that. I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. This is going to be kind of a, showing like the form. I mean, literally on IMDb, if you look up what the plot of this movie is, it says that it's about the formative years of Tony Soprano. It's like I didn't really get that with this movie that much as I was hoping that I would have. I think that I would have been more interested in this movie if I had gotten that. With that being said, I think that as someone who is maybe looking to, I was hoping that this film would be something that would actually get me interested to go back and check out the series, and that this film would kind of set that up as something for me. But unfortunately, I can't really say that it did. It didn't really give me something to really introduce me to this world that made me want to go back. None of the characters in this film had enough of a charisma or draw to them to make me want to go back, I guess, and check out the show again, or see where their story goes or anything, because I don't know. I guess I was hoping for a little bit more of that. I was hoping for more of a Tony Soprano movie than what we got and stuff in a lot of ways. And I think I probably would have enjoyed it more if it was that. I think that there are films that do a really good job of kind of setting up in a prequel that was made after the original series. Obviously some people may immediately think of like Star Wars and stuff, but for me, I think that like X-Men First Class is a great example of that, because it's a little bit more of a similar example to The Sopranos and this film and stuff, because it's about like, it's about Magneto and Professor X and stuff, and kind of their relationship and how that carries over into the rest of the X-Men story. I think that film did a great job, and I think that people who are looking to watch X-Men, if they started with First Class, that I think they would probably understand the majority of what was going on and stuff. I didn't really get that with this film in a lot of ways. So
I agree. I think also there's they spend a good chunk of time building up Leslie Odom Jr.'s character, and building up kind of his struggles as a character, and dealing with the Newark riots. Mm-hmm. And that actually, like, I don't know, I feel like kind of muddies the groundwork. I don't know, it muddies mm-hmm. the groundwork for me, at least, because like
it didn't really have a point.
Yeah, like, because right after they get through that, like, you're supposed to almost feel bad for Leslie Odom Jr.'s character. You're supposed to kind of feel for what's going on, because the Newark riots were awful and it was a terrible time for people. The long hot summer, it was like 1967. And so like all of that part of it, you're thinking, okay, maybe they're going to go somewhere with it. Mm-hmm. And then they don't go anywhere with it, and then try to make Leslie Odom Jr.'s character an antagonist.
Yeah.
But the people that he's supposed to be the antagonist to are a bunch of racist Italians who like hate him because he's black. Like, and literally they flat out, like, it's not, it is not even like, there's no like pretense or subtlety to it. They mm-hmm. flat out at points point out like they don't like the guy because he's black.
Yeah.
Like, and whatever. Like, I mean, that was in The Sopranos, those themes and stuff, but it would have been better, I feel like, to have seen why Tony felt the way he did, mm-hmm. and see that bled into Tony's life. But instead it kind of just shows, like Tony's uncles and his dad and people in his life are super racist. Like Tony's dad gets super mad that black people move in down the street from his house after he gets out of prison. Like, we're so, and it's supposed to thread things, but because of the climate we're in too, they also kind of make it seem like they're jerks for being racist, which they are. I mean, like, you know what I mean? Like they make it seem like they're jerks for being racist, but then make the antagonist a black guy that they hate because he's black. Yeah. But then also make you feel for the black guy because of all the horrible things he was going through during that time. Mm-hmm. It's a really weird balance. It doesn't, I feel like it muddies the waters a lot in the movie.
It does.
And I would have much preferred them to follow Tony at the age he is when
yes,
when Gandalf and his son takes over. Yes,
Tony or whatever.
Yep, Tony, teenage Tony, and followed him growing up and like getting into it and deciding to get into the life versus what they did before, where he's a child growing up and you don't get to see him really interact with anybody for a long time. So,
exactly. I think that Harold was the name of the
yes, Harold.
Yeah, so they didn't really give him like a conclusion or any sort of like payoff in this film or anything like that.
No.
And I wish that they would have, because then I might have at least have understood why they put it in the film, and they didn't really do that. So and
I did hear that there is rumors of a sequel, and that maybe part of the reason that they set that all up is because they want there to be a sequel and they want to do like more of these prequels leading right up to The Sopranos, which is fine to an extent, except when you don't nail the landing on the first movie, it's hard to go, I want to go back and watch a sequel, but like I said, overall, if you like The Sopranos, you'll probably like this movie because you'll understand the payoff and setup. But it's been a long time since The Sopranos went off the air.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've already seen an overwhelming positive response to this film from people that are fans of the show and stuff, and that's great. I'm glad that they are happy with it. I just think that this film, in a lot of ways, isolates people who aren't fans of the show. But if that was the creative decision by them to, I guess, do that and make this something that's just for fans of the show, that's fine, I guess. I mean, that's their decision. But I think that they had a great opportunity to bring in a wider audience for the Sopranos show, or at least give people a taste of that show through this film to see if they wanted to watch the series or not, and they didn't really do that. So I'm glad that people that watch the show that have seen this movie are liking it. I'm glad that is the case, but I think that there was just a missed opportunity with this film in a lot of ways.
I agree.
So
I probably would give the movie like a C-. You know what? If I was a fan of the show, I might have even given it a B+, A-. But because I haven't watched all the show because of inaccessible it is. Yeah, I agree. I'd probably give it a C-. The cinematography is solid in it. The music is actually really good in it. It could have been as a standalone gangster film. I probably would have liked it a lot more. But because there's so much weight behind it, knowing Sopranos is such a legendary TV show, that kind of leaves it for me. So if you're a fan of the Sopranos, go watch this movie. I think you'll have a great time. If you haven't watched The Sopranos, go watch The Sopranos, then go watch this movie. Like,
there you go.
Because that's the thing. You're going to have a good time. I wish I would have had time to go watch The Sopranos and then watch this movie, because it would have been fresh in my mind. But that's another thing too. I think if you have watched The Sopranos and it's been years since it like went off the air, you probably need a refresher at least before you go watch this film.
Yeah,
so
definitely. Yeah, so with that being said, that is going to be our review for The Many Saints of Newark. Let us know what you think in the comments. What do you think about the film if you've seen it? And make sure that you go check out our Epic Man podcast. We're on YouTube and on every all of your favorite audio podcast platforms. And we appreciate that a lot, where you can hear Mike and I talking about all sorts of crazy stuff over there, aliens, zombies, all sorts of stuff. So make sure that you go check that out, and make sure that you go over to geeksandgamers.com and become a member over there. There's a lot of great benefits for members over there. With that being said, let us know what you think in the comments, and we will talk to you all in another video very soon. Bye.